Welcome to the Autodesk Face Robot Legacy video series. These are the original videos that Jeff Wilson recorded using Face Robot version 1.5, long before it was integrated into Autodesk Softimage. In these videos, Jeff, who's one of the original designers of Face Robot, focuses on tuning and sculpting the different regions of the face. The workflow shown in these videos is still pretty much the same as it is now, but you might notice a few differences in the interface. For a more up-to-date version of the complete Face Robot workflow, you can check out the 11-part Face Robot series on this channel, which uses the current implementation of Face Robot within Softimage. We hope you enjoy this blast from the past as Jeff displays his mastery of facial animation with Face Robot. In this final video, Jeff finishes sculpting the lips and mouth area and wraps it up with a few points about tuning and sculpting.
The other type of sculpting that I'll show is mouth sculpting, and that's kind of different than the other types of sculpting in that instead of one controller dictating that state, it's all 8 of the mouth controls. So let's just start by opening the mouth into a kind of default open position here. And in this case especially, it's best to actually bring in actual data, or either a pose that you're going to have animators use, or a pose from mocap that you've got with the mouth open, so that you get an accurate position for all 8 of these controls. For now, we'll just open it like this. So let's say this is the pose we want to fix, and we have these kind of pinching and flat facets in the mouth corners that we want to fix. So you just pose your controls where you want and hit mouth sculpting. Okay, and it works just like the other types of sculpting. You use tweak mode just like everything else, and you can use symmetry and proportional and all that. And I'm going to set my proportional tool to consider neighborhoods so I don't grab both sides of the mouth accidentally. Now this is a good place to show actually how you can use all of XSI's tools inside of a sculpt mode. So in this case, it can get pretty difficult to get in there and grab all these verts that have gotten pinched. So the easiest way to do that would be to just, with that sculpt geometry selected, just add a weight map to it. And then just paint, like always, paint your selection on there. Smooth it out a bit. And so I painted in symmetry mode so both sides are selected. And with that weight map still active, you can just go to deform and smooth. And then you can just smooth that out much easier that way. So you have access to all of XSI's features inside of these sculpts. You don't have to just pull verts around one by one, and everything gets baked back in. So let's say that's what we wanted, and just hit apply, and all that gets absorbed into the mouth state. And now if we reset all these poses, actually let's just key these. Use my synoptic to select all these. Just key those. So now you get that sculpt coming into play at that state. So one thing you may notice is that halfway through you're still getting some pinching. Now the mouth sculpts are a bit different. You notice they don't show up in your sculpt history. They actually go into their own place, into the mouth, tune mouth panel, and at the bottom of that you get the sculpts that are mouth specific. So again, you can name these in here. Let's just say open. And you get a little different buttons here than in the standard sculpt history. And you can apply pose obviously, and you can delete, but you also get a proximity here, and that basically tells that sculpt how close to that exact state it has to be before it kicks in. And you can adjust that to kind of more get more or closer to or further away from that sculpt at the state that you're at. So you probably want to adjust that so that it doesn't affect the normal state. That's kind of the main thing, and you can start to see where it begins to affect it there. So that's not too bad. This model actually has a little bit of a crease showing just from default, but that's a pretty smooth in and out of that. And you can set as many of these sculpts on the mouth as you want, different states, big scream, smiles. I found that the more you try to do, the more you get into on trying to just manage the way they interact with each other. So I try and hit just the radically different extremes. So a big smile, a big scream. You probably don't want to try and do a frown versus a open mouth frown. Those things are so close together that you may start butting heads with each other trying to figure out which state you're in. So I keep these as simple and as discrete as possible, and just do the wild differences and things like this. It's really great just for opening and smoothing out the corners, and in the smile you can do the same thing to kind of fill out the corners a bit. But I think as a rule, the fewer you can get away with, the better in there. So that about covers all of the tuning options that you're going to encounter. Again, this is just a process you keep going back and forth until you've finished, and sometimes it'll take me a day, sometimes it takes 3 or 4, just depending on the amount of detail that you're putting into your character. But I think you've seen all of the features that you're going to encounter from day-to-day production. In the next series I'll go into getting mocap on, getting animation started, how to make some final adjustments based on a motion being on the controls, and how to set up audio-video reference and the general animation workflow.